Why don't we just start by like the original impetus? Like I think both you and the actors were talking yesterday that it was done over the course of a fairly long period of time. So just can you walk us through like the original stages and what the impetus was?
I think I took about a year to write the script. We shot the film very quickly. That was a 2-week period, and we were rehearsing leading up to that, and that was all sort of on a normal timeline. And then it was post that took so long, which I feel like it's always post that takes so long. I was one of the editors on the film, and so I was also producing other stuff and like having to find time in between to cut. And that's why it took so long.
Did you work with the editor simultaneously in the same room, or did you totally just have separate cuts and then you got together?
We would sit together and work, and we would also work independently and swap scenes. Like over the internet, or like I'd go over to her house and I'd be like, okay, here's a bunch of scenes that I did, and here's scenes, and let's put them all together into one cut, and now let's work on it. And that was a pretty cool process. Like I love editing, and I love the process of collaborative editing, where you give somebody else the opportunity to discover something that like is brilliant. And honestly, I would never figure it out. Like I was just trying different things, and I think you end up with really cool, like best of both possibilities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And this is something you talked about yesterday, this being one of the questions you're probably going to be asked quite a bit. You said that you started as an editor. So, I don't know, I know that you definitely then edited, produced, and now directed, or written and directed. So, if there's any other positions you can mention as well, but just what
I've done craft services before. No.
How was that in comparison to directing?
What do you, I was kind of joking. I mean, I've cooked meals for my crew before. No, that was the trajectory. It was editing, producing, directing.
And so what were those transitions like?
I wanted to be an editor. That's what I thought I wanted to do when I was doing independent films, features that no one's ever seen. And then it was Myth. It was I wanted to help David make that movie, and so I said I'd produce it for him, and I didn't really know what that meant. But we'd figure it out, and so then all of a sudden I found I enjoyed that. I felt like I was good at it, and then I was a producer, and that's what I've been running with. But I don't know. We'll see what happens now, I guess. I mean, I'm definitely still producing. Like those are my upcoming projects are all producing.
Do you have another film of your own that you're developing, or?
I have some ideas.
Okay.
But nothing worth sharing yet.
Sure. So another thing that really sticks out when you're watching the film is its choice of location and how that kind of defines. Because I mean, all things considered, you could have, in terms of what they go through as a couple, you could have really put it anywhere, but you chose that specific location. Can you talk a bit about how that informed the dramatic action?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was important to give them a sense of isolation. And to me, there's this idea that maybe as a couple they would work longer or be able to survive in like their own real world setting with like friends and jobs and other things going on. But when they're taken out of that and left only with each other to deal with, that's where it sort of really shows the cracks and they rapidly start to fall apart. So that's part of the reason I put them out there. And as far as choosing that location, I was on a camping trip with my dad, and I just could not get over how beautiful the park was. And I was like, I just want to photograph everything about this place. Yeah.
Did you feel the landscape itself, I guess besides isolation, because that, I mean, mind you...
It was weirdly close to come over. Like, he came over and stood by Taylor, watched what we were doing. And I'm like, are we meeting you next? Like, what do you...
He was curious, I guess.
And then he went, oh, I don't know those people.
Right.
They're not famous. Anyways, what were you...
Oh, I guess I just found that, like, it really acts as somewhat of a third character, and there really isn't... other people kind of come and go, but really it's just the two of them and their tent and their car. So, I don't know, I guess if you just had anything else to add about that specific location, it really colors the whole
why
film.
Sequoia, not Yosemite, or not like Joshua Tree, or not...
No, not even. I guess just like... I guess you said it really puts
It's about isolating them. I mean, they just have each other to deal with, and they can't. And then I think there's this other layer to it as well. I mean, like, it's really, they're in one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been, and yet they still can't just be happy together. Like, it's set in that, like, really majestic, beautiful setting. They're just fucking fighting. I'm not supposed to swear. I get in trouble when I swear.
I notice is that multiple times, at least twice, one of them says, let's start over.
Let's start over, yeah.
So I was just wondering kind of why you decided to plant that where you did, how you felt that affected the narrative.
Well, I think, I like letting each of them say it one time, sort of. And when she says it, I think she's trying to be cute, and I think she's genuine in making that suggestion, and he sort of mocks it a little bit. And so that when he says it to her later, to me it's him making a concession, you know, like, okay, I teased you about this earlier, but now, like, I'm going to say it to you. And she, of course, gets the reference, and, you know, she smiles a little bit. The let's start over thing is funny. It's just absurd, like an absurd belief, you know, like you can just keep reset. And that has
a lot to do with the whole potential story. Yeah,
well, exactly. That's another thing about that line that I kind of liked. Like, it's ridiculous. You can't just keep starting over.
I'm just curious about kind of how this scene came about. One of the scenes I thought that was really effective for all kinds of different reasons is where she takes off and then he puts stuff away, etc.
I love that scene, yeah.
I think it really just, and like he never mentions it.
Yeah, well, because he would look like make it look stupid, one, to admit that he did that, to, you know, and also a jerk. And I think it gets to a point where, like, it's a moment where he's acting out of frustration and anger. And then once he settles down, it's like, it was stupid. I'm going to undo what I just did and, like, never speak of it again because it's humiliating. I'm kind of glad that, like, she didn't catch me behaving so poorly and, you know, immature.
One thing I noticed, and I was trying to think while I was watching the film, like, is this just true about everyone, or is it true to these two people? Like, is this the way they behave? Especially in the scene, which is like a wonderful scene and super pivotal to the film, towards the end when they're talking about why they love each other.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure, I just saw this trend emerging. It seemed like they kept talking about themselves, and they were talking about, like, basically for selfish reasons, what they get out of it.
Right.
So I guess I'm just curious, was that intentional? Did you talk about that with them?
I don't remember talking about that, but I think that when you, like, have you ever gotten back together with an ex, and, like, you go there, like, you just want to indulge in those really, really, like, self-indulgent, like, did you think about me? What did you do? Tell me how you feel about me. And even when she's asking him, like, did you sleep with other people? How many other people? Like, you have this, like, really perverse need to hear and say all those things, and so that was a really important theme for me, and I think kind of what you're referencing in that scene.
Has anyone else asked you about essentially, like, the ambiguity of the ending?
No.
Do you want to say anything about that? Or you want to kind
well,
of
I'm
keep
curious.
it as it is?
I am actually curious. I want to ask people if it is ambiguous. That's, like, question number one. Like, is it ambiguous to you at the end? Do they stay together? Do you think they stay together? Yeah, do you think they stay together? Yeah, okay.
Or not?
Right, exactly. And realistically, like, these people are going to break up. But then they're also maybe going to do this one more time. Or, like, maybe do this a couple more times before they finally, like, move on with their lives, you know? So it wasn't important to me to say at the end, these people stay together, these people don't stay together. It was to sort of suggest that they don't know, but we all kind of know that it's not a healthy relationship, and they end up probably, like you said, short term maybe okay, but not long term.
In terms of that, one thing which came to mind is how did you feel that they changed throughout the course of the story?
Well, they don't change a lot. I mean, it's 1 week in their lives, so obviously there aren't any major, you know, growth. But I think the film They start off optimistic at the beginning that they're different people now and that they're going to maybe work as a couple because they've been apart for a year, and I think they believe that in that year they've evolved. And by the end, the change really is that like they realize they're not really, probably. You know.
In terms of process, I haven't had the chance to ask yet. Just like, how hands-on were you with Megan and David? What was the, I guess, rehearsal process like, and then on set? How much space did you give them?
Okay, let me think back 2 years. So the script process was I would write, we would sit down and read, we'd talk through the characters, we'd talk through backstory, we would talk through maybe different ways scenes could go, and then I'd do a rewrite. So there was a lot of collaboration in the like, workshopping of it.
Did you write this for them?
Yeah, I guess so, because I knew I wanted them to do it. So yeah, I think I did, I guess, write it for them. And then when we were on set, it was, God, I can't remember how I was very hands off with camera. I remember that. Like I really trusted those guys. It's funny, I always tell people like, I don't care, like, I don't care, and then I end up like really meddling. You're like, you do care about that, because I'd be like, well, actually, I don't like that frame. I know I said can we just put it over there? Do you remember? I don't. Yeah, like how much I. Yeah. I'm definitely not the kind of director who is like, this is the frame, and you move from here to here, and you create this composition.
You weren't really setting marks right there.
We tried, but I mean, it's like, you know, go to that stick, not that stick. Oops, I got the sticks mixed up, you know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer. I keep looking at Taylor, my producer. I don't know how to answer that. I don't think I was. I think I was just the right amount of hands-on.
Mm-hmm. But and with Megan and David as well, like, were you kind of day to day just really working closely with them, or once you got on set, did you kind of know that they knew what they were doing?
I mean, yeah. I feel like we would do that thing where the first take was sort of a rehearsal, but really we'd roll on everything. Some stuff we would do like that. Some of those intent conversations that were like one take, we'd do like 13 times, and I'd start to get a little crazy director, like, again, you know, and it's like, why? But then I think, weirdly enough, like the 13th take of that one tense scene where he comes in really drunk and like, you know, wants to have sex, like, I think that was take 13. It was brilliant.